about, I don't know, 6 months or so, I just didn't listen, hard-headed, tried to do it on my own, ended up broke after having a little minor success and in mom and dad's basement. And then one day, the guy from the infomercial that I saw, months and months and months before, he was actually launching a new brand. And I shot off an email to him. I tracked down his email address and I said, listen, if I could just learn from you, then I can be really successful. So he actually offered me a job, $8 an hour in Lexington, Kentucky. And he let me be a distributor at the same time. And for years, I just worked under him, learned and answered the phones and did whatever I had to do to support the market. And met my wife through that company. Her family was successful distributors. And, through about 4 years, I became, along with Tiffany, the number one distributor in that company. We ended up buying out that company through some crazy situations. And then, the next few years through some mergers and corporate opportunities, I ended up at a conference in Dallas, Texas as an executive. And I met Mark Pentecost at that room in 2011. Of course, you all know Mark, who that is. So I don't have to tell you, he's the CEO and owner of It Works. And we were in the back of the room, not happy where we were at, not doing bad in life. Actually, both of us doing really good in life on our own separate paths, but not where we wanted to be. And that event was celebrating the top 100 companies in direct selling in the world. And neither of us in our own market It Works, me and my own business, we weren't up there. We weren't being recognized. And we just met each other in the back of the room, said, maybe we'll be up there. Maybe we'll be up there together one day. Just by chance, I don't think it's by chance. I think it was God. But by an interesting turn of events, Mark had moved the company in 2011, end of 2010, excuse me, down to Bradenton, Florida. And my wife and I had just moved to Bradenton, Florida from Sarasota, Florida. And Mark and I lived in the same neighborhood. And we met in Dallas, Texas. So, as 9 years later now, we teamed up, went to work, put a plan together, and some pretty awesome things have happened. And a lot of lives have been changed. That's the short version.
That's incredible. Okay. I'm so beyond excited. And okay, so next question that we have, we're just going to jump right in. We are so excited about Skinny Brew. Drop one in the comments if you're, I don't think anyone's really having a problem selling Skinny Brew, but what I want to know is what is the best method for us to upsell Skinny Brew? We're already talking to somebody about it. What point do you introduce the upsell, and how can we maximize that?
Give me one question back to you before I answer that. So you're talking about Skinny Brew. When you say upsell Skinny Brew, you're talking about upselling it when they're looking at something else? Or are you talking about selling them more? Are you talking about signing them up as a distributor? What specific are you asking?
Selling them more than just Skinny Brew, like upselling them to Cleanse, Thermo, keto coffee.
Great question. So this answer will probably vary based on who you're talking to. You guys are in the field, so candidly, you probably have more experience directly selling Skinny Brew than I do. So I'm going to speak to you from my experience in the past as well as my experience in It Works. At the time of enrollment, you have one job, and that's enrollment, right? That's to get them in. It's a lot easier to upsell once they've already made a commitment. So, my recommendation is first step in the process, get their information, get them to commit. So as you're talking to them about Skinny Brew, say, hey, if you're taking down the information or if they're getting in the system, it's a lot easier to get them in with something very simple, very affordable, so they don't have a lot of questions. I mean, we say it's simple, it's affordable, it's coffee for a reason. So get them in the system, get their information down. The great way to upsell them once they're in or in the process of coming in is just ask questions. You don't need to have all the answers. Just learn to ask a lot of questions. So let's say you're talking about Skinny Brew and they like the product, they want to be a loyal customer. In the process, just simply ask them a question. How much weight do you want to lose? And if they want to lose, I'm just making this number up. It's irrelevant of the amount that they say. But if they say, well, I'm really looking to lose about 15 pounds, you might mention in there, well, if you added our cleanse product, we've actually seen people go from, losing certain amount of weight. You don't got to give a number because there's not a number, but you can really jumpstart your results. And it's only 2 days. The great thing about the cleanse, which I love, is that it's not a 30-day cleanse. It's not a 70-day cleanse. It's not a 7-day cleanse. It's 2 days. It's simple and it's very affordable. And I think the same thing goes for Thermal Fight X. Again, keep the conversation simple. Get them in the business as a loyal customer or distributor. But as you're going through the prospecting process, ask them questions. Do you know that we have a product that you can actually is proven for 31 pounds in 90 days we could add on? Don't ask them to add it on. Ask them, do they know that we have one? So I think just asking some simple qualifying questions is a very non-confrontational way to continue the conversation, and you're not being peer pressuring, so to speak, for them to feel like they have to.
I love that. I love that. All right, you guys, I hope you're taking notes. I'm taking notes. Segueing into the next question, which is how the heck do you get over the word no? Whether you're prospecting distributors, customers, how do you get past that? And how did you get past it to reach the top of a company, let alone?
You never really get past it. Nobody likes to be told no. I still get told no a lot, in life, whether it's business or whether it's life or whether it's whatever. There's times you get told no in life. It's like, when I take my daughter to school in the morning, all of a sudden the interstate is just jammed up. I just got told no. I want to get there quick. I don't want to sit in traffic, but if I don't want to go that way, I got to go the long way. Life just is full of no's. So I just learned to get used to it and know that business is very personal. There's that saying that it's business, it's not personal. I totally disagree with that. I think everything's personal. It's very personal, but you don't have to take it personal, right? It is very personal, but you got to choose not to take it that way, because here's the thing. Most people, as self-absorbed as Americans are, right? I'm one of them. We think everybody's thinking about us and everybody's out to get us and everybody's always, thinking about us 5 minutes after they talk to us and 20 minutes. I bet they're still saying no to me 2 hours later. They forgot about the conversation 2 seconds after they told you no. They're not thinking about it. They're not dwelling on it. You are, right? So the way that I finally got over it was, and I would say you never really get over it, but the way that I learned to deal with it was to know of reading a lot of books and learn that, people care about themselves, not about me, right? People care about their families, really not about me. And it gave me the comfort to know if somebody said, no, I'm not interested, I just continue asking questions. There's a guy in Japan. His name's Inoue. I call him the question guy. When we launched Japan, he asked me more questions than I had answers to. And every time I'm on a Zoom and every time I'm in person over there, it's just question. And you know why I ask questions? I asked him one time, I go, why do you ask so many questions? And he goes, because I get you to give me answers. And that was as simple as that. So when I get a no, I look at it as an opportunity to ask another question. And what I mean is, it's not personal. If they say it rude, it's not personal. It's only if you take it personal. If somebody tells me, no, I'm not interested, great. Do you know anybody who drinks coffee? I look at it as an opening to ask one more question to see if I can get referrals. And then if they say, no, I really don't know anybody who drinks coffee, they just don't want to do business right now, or they don't want to be a loyal customer. And you just got to move on. It's there's a saying that I got taught, and it was SW4. Was it some will, some won't, so what? Somebody's waiting. And that's, I think, life. Just in the US, we have 400 million people in the country. So then when you look at the internet and social media, it literally gives you access to millions and millions of people. Don't worry about your aunt that said no, right? Worry about the one who said yes, and you're not giving them good follow-up service.
Awesome. I hope you guys wrote that down. Some will, some won't. So what? Somebody's waiting. That's so genius. Okay. What about how how do you get roll? This is a question several people wanted to know. How do you get rolling again after you're feeling stuck?
So I did an audio years ago called Jump the Funk. And I did it because I was in a funk and I didn't know what to do. And people all the time say, well, how do I know I'm in a funk? Funk's really easy to know if you're in. If you go more than one day without actively doing something for your business, and by actively doing something, I mean not just dropping a blitz card on a car on your way into the supermarket, right? I mean literally building the business, talking to someone, asking them to become a loyal customer, doing a try present, like really in action actively. If you go more than a day, maybe 2 days, you're either never gotten started or you're probably in some kind of funk or a slump or whatever you want to call it. Because I know that most people, they do at work spare time, they do at work part time. And I know that you're not, 8 hours a day just blowing and going, right? You've got a couple hours a day, 1 hour a day, you're working in where you can. So, I know that. If you know that, you've got to recognize if it goes more than a day or two of you not even in your part-time spare time actively going out in action to gather a customer or gather a distributor, you're in a little bit of a funk. Or if you've built a business and some people quit, and all of a sudden you find yourself not actively out there for a day or two, you're in a funk. The greatest thing that you can do is get around other people. It's your circle. I was reading, I read out of the John Maxwell Leadership Bible, and it's a great one if you are into that, because it gives you these little blurbs underneath some of the verses. And the one that came up today in Proverbs was about your circle. Mark said it from stage before. Your income is probably the average. You take your top 5 people you spend the most time with, take their income divided by 5, that's probably your income. There's a lot of truth to that. Same thing goes for your attitude. Same thing goes for your success. Same thing goes for your marriage. The people you hang around, you ultimately become like them. I can say the same for myself. That's why I choose my friends very, very carefully, who I spend a lot of my extra time with. And I think that's when you get in a funk, the best thing you can do is get around people that are excited about the business. Get around people that are active in the business. Don't go talk to people who are always complaining about the business. And there's always more of those, right? That's life. There's always more people that are not doing things than are doing things. So number one, I think you got to recognize it. Number two, get around people that are actively in there. And number three, before you get into a funk. So I would say if you're on this live right now, you may or may not be in a funk, but at least you're hearing about the possibility that it's going to happen. Let me just tell you, it's not a possibility. It's a guarantee. You're going to have them. You're going to continue to have them. Life's going to happen. So prepare that. So make a note today. When I get into a funk, I got to recognize it. Here's what that means. Number two, who am I going to call when I need to get out? Who are my top 3, top 2, top 5 people that I'm going to say, hey, I need to get around? And then the third thing, don't just get around people, but go in the middle of something. We say if you're having a good day, a try it needs you, a pop-up needs you, a party needs you. If you're having a bad day, you need the party, you need the pop-up, you need to try it. All that means is, if you are doing really good, you need to get in because somebody else is probably having a lousy day. If you're doing bad, somebody else is probably having a good day that you could get around. So just recognize some of those things, but ultimately it comes back down to action, and it all leads back to one thing, because the only reason you're going to do what I'm saying is because you got strong goals and reasons and you have them written down and they're in front of you everywhere. Because if you don't have that initially, I've literally had people tell me before, Mike, I know what you say, how to get out of a funk. I know that, I got my people that I call, but I really just don't want to call them. And what that tells me is they don't have strong goals, strong reasons to do the business, or they didn't write them down to where they became reality for them. That's why I keep pictures of my kids everywhere in the house, bedroom. I keep them everywhere, and my wife, and things that we want to do in life. And it's not just, financial things. A lot of times it's doing for other people, but some things are financial. I just keep them everywhere. So everywhere I'm going, office, here, car, both cars, wife's car, my car, in the garage. I mean, I keep things that constantly remind me of what we want for this year. And what it does, it keeps me in the frame of mind when I don't want to do something. It's always there reminding me that I got bigger reasons to get up and go do this again than just myself.
Love that. Okay, I think Jessica, okay, you're unmuted. You got the next question.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you, Mike. Okay, so another question that we had, if your month didn't start off very strong, what's your best tip for ending your month strong?
That's great. I think that's pretty normal for a lot of people not to start off the month strong, because you guys are getting me like a little under the weather. So I'm really kind of raw and just in your face a little bit. And this is where I like to be, because it's the truth. Like, you got no filter right now. Most people procrastinate, right? Let's face it. They procrastinate, they wait, they take their time. They go, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. You know what? We're not promised tomorrow. Don't procrastinate. Procrastination doesn't lead to a good destination. No matter, I've done it all my life in different situations. Never takes me where I want to go. So start early. I don't know what else to tell you, but how do you get going? It feels easier to close out a month than to start the month. Well, let's talk about why is that. That's a real simple one. Urgency, right? The end of the month's like this long. The beginning of the month's like this long. So if you only have this much left, you're running a lot harder. You're trying to make up time. Let me ask you how that's worked out for you in your life, right? How's that work out for you? I think about, I mentioned dropping my daughter off to school, and we talk about picking her up to school. Every once in a while, I'll pick her up to school. My thing is I like to drop her off, get her mindset right, do all that. Tiffany picks up. But when I do pick her up, I usually procrastinate. I wait too long. I end up hitting traffic that I wasn't expecting. I get there, or I have to call a friend that parks next to me and say, hey, can Sophie sit in your car? I'm not there yet. That's embarrassing, right? And it happens more often than not. But I learned that lesson when I get there and I see my little girl's face, and she's just, it's not mad. It's not just frustrated. It's not disappointed. And I'm like, why did I do that? I'm not going to do that again. And then I do it again, right? Because it's easy to do. And I think that's where procrastination gets us sometimes, is that, but my point is, how does that work out for me? My kid's never happy when I do that. Never. Not once did she say, you know what? I'm so glad you are late. I was the last kid at school. It was so awesome. No, it's dad, seriously, again. And then, I take her somewhere and buy her food, and she's happy again. But the point is, I had to do something to make her happy again, right? So when you think about, if you don't start out your month and you procrastinate, if you don't do something at the end of the month, you're probably going to have the same start to the next month. If you don't hit a promotion, if you don't recruit a new distributor, if you don't help somebody else do the same thing. So just try it differently. Nothing I'm going to say today is going to mean anything to you unless you actually take action on it. So what I would say is, end February super strong. February is all about three things. What was it? SRM, samples, recruiting, more, right? Three things. If you're thinking about anything more than samples, recruiting new distributors, and getting the more bonus, like, stop thinking about it. It's those three things. All your activities lead into those things. If you're doing a try it, pop-up, training, whatever it is, they need to lead into one of those three items. So end this month strong, and then I just challenge you. Do it differently March 1st. Now, here's the cool thing. We're actually going to give you some incentives to do it differently early March 1st. Nothing that you got to wait for, nothing that's going to benefit you more than now, but we actually see this time of year, we want to push you into the month and the beginning of the month. So what I would say is, don't just close out February, sprint through the finish line right into the starting line of March, and you're just going to be on fire. Somebody's talking. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me, Mike?
Now I can.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you so much. Those are awesome tips. I hope you guys are taking notes. So we have another one. How do you get past your team quitting and not take it personal?
Great question. I can only come from it from my perspective as a guy that's been doing this 20 years. It's kind of the same answer as getting your nose. It's not going to stop. It's part of the business. You know, it's your choice to take it personal. Somebody makes it personal. It's their choice to make it personal. It's really how you react to it. I read the other day, and it's nothing new. You guys and gals have probably heard it before, but it said, you can't control your circumstances. You can only control how you respond to it or react to it. I thought there's a lot of truth to that. There's, you know, I'm big into personal development. And what does that mean? That means that I try to read lots of books that keep my mindset in a positive frame. I listen to audios, I listen to podcasts, not the kind that are screaming at you and talking about today's trends and all that. I don't listen to any of those. I listen to things that keep my mind really on a positive mentality. And I heard that, and it's something I've always known, but you really can't control your circumstances. You know, if you leave this Zoom today and you get in a fender bender, you got rear-ended, you didn't control it yourself. It happened to you. What you've got to decide is, are you going to react, right, which is a negative thing, or are you going to respond, which is a positive thing? So are you going to react or are you going to respond? So I tend to try to respond. My wife, more reaction. She's that red personality. She's just like, you know, I'll show you. And she'll tell you that she's learned a lot from me over the years on how to be a better person to respond. And I'll tell you, I've learned a lot from her over the years that when you need to react, here's how you react. So I think it really comes down to the situation. You don't know what circumstance is going to come. You don't know, are they going to be ugly? Are they going to be mean? Here's what you know. People quit. That's what people do. And that's not a bad thing. You know, around here, we have these ponds everywhere, because every time, maybe you have them where you live too. We have ponds everywhere in Florida. And the ponds that have an aerator, where they either have a fountain or something going, you know, they're very clean. It's nice water, clean water. You got birds in them, all that stuff. But the ponds that are just stagnant, that don't have any air going through it, they don't have a way to get water out or water circulating, they get this green scum all over the top. And it's disgusting, looks nasty, right? That's an unhealthy pond or an unhealthy organization. That's the organization, that's the exact same people year after year, not doing anything, just complaining, staying in funks. I'm a believer, and you've heard us talk about it on the corporate side, that it's okay if some things move around. You need some new blood sometimes. You need some of those people to go and do something else in life. So, you know, even if it is personal, you've got to kind of take your lumps, so to speak. Know that you're not the first. Know that you're not going to be the last. Know that it's not going to be the last time it happens to you, and work to respond a lot more. And what does that look like? That means instead of you going on the attack mode, you should go on the recruiting mode. You know, don't attack, act. That's what I've taught for years. Don't attack, act. Don't go on attack mode, go into action mode. The best way to get over somebody leaving is to recruit 3 in their place. And that's what I've always done. You know, you solve problems by building your business. That's the reality. If you're in a position where when somebody leaves, it affects you so much. Now, there's the situations where, you know, somebody comes in and they just go on this massive recruiting campaign and they truly, you know, you can take a hit on your income. Guess what? That's life. It's not fun. It won't be the first time, won't be the last time. But it's kind of like the McDonald's that's been sitting on the corner for 10 years, and then Chick-fil-A comes across the street. They're going to take a hit, right? It's not Chick-fil-A's fault. Chick-fil-A's good company. McDonald's good company, but there's only so much traffic going down this intersection, going down this road. Some people are going to be like, you know what? I want Chick-fil-A. And all they really had as an option before was McDonald's. So it's natural in business for people to do that. And I know sometimes it gets ugly, but what you got to do is learn to respond. And what that is go into action mode, build your business. Now, here's the bad part. If you're not already in action and it happens, it feels like it affects you a lot more, because those were the people that you were holding on to, as opposed to having enough people to talk to that if somebody quits, doesn't join, tells you no, that it doesn't matter. Right? I learned that the hard way in my career, that I don't know what it was. I'm trying to think back what year, it doesn't matter, but there was a time in my life, I think it was like 2007. And Tiffany and I were in the field as distributors doing super well, but super in debt. Like I was running all these ads, doing these things, because that's what we did back then. You ran ads, you ran magazines, it wasn't the internet and all the other things. And what I found was for whatever reason, I wasn't getting enough prospects, and the ones that were getting, they weren't really coming through. So my problem was, instead of going out and finding more prospects and getting more people to come through, because it is just a matter of numbers, I kept focusing on that same circle of people. You know, I'd call them up, they wouldn't answer. I'd keep calling them up the next day. And I was persistent. I'd agree at being persistent. But after about 7, 8 calls to somebody, if they don't answer the phone for you and you've left them voicemails, they're probably not interested, right? So instead of just calling them, I'm not saying give up, go call a couple more in their place as well, generate more. It's just an average that you get to. You know, it's, if you can get 1 out of 100, you know you can get 2 out of 200. So you just got to go talk to 200, right? If you know you're getting 3 out of 10, you know what I mean? It's just a matter of numbers. But to find out if you can get 3 out of 10, you got to talk to a lot of people to get your average. I'm not trying to get technical on you, but that's what I was told a long time ago. Make up in numbers what you lack in skill in the beginning. And I lacked a lot in skill. I just knew that I was tenacious, and I went out, talked to lots of people, and all of a sudden I got a customer or I got a distributor. I went, okay, how many people did I really talk to? And you don't know maybe exactly, but you had an idea. So then I just doubled that, and lo and behold, I got another one. And then I did it again, and I got another one. So then I realized that it was just a matter of numbers. So if I kept myself in that rhythm, when somebody quit or when a prospect said no, it didn't affect me near as much.
That is so good. Okay. All right. This is kind of a 2-part. And since you are the chief sales officer, I personally, this is my question. All right. If you were working in the field right now, day 1, you're an It-Works distributor. What is your daily action plan? Like, what is it that you're doing? And then I have a second part to this.
Cammie be much better to answer this than me. You know, you answered my question. I'm not in the field. So, you know, you on here are going to know your in the trenches action plan probably better than I would. But I'll give you a few things that are a must to be on yours. Number 1, start your day with personal development, right? And I know that's not the answer some of you want to hear. You're like, no, give me the magic dust. I am, right? It's just not the magic dust that you want it to be, right? You want me just to sprinkle it on you and you can fly, right? Like Tinkerbell. It's like my daughter. We watch that movie all the time, right? I want that too. Doesn't exist. The magic dust is a few simple things done over a consistent period of time ultimately leads to success. So number 1, start your day with personal development. What's that mean? Do something in the mornings, right when you get up. Like my wife's not a morning person. I became a morning person. I didn't used to be a morning person. And I just forced myself to get up earlier. And I'm not talking hours earlier. Get up 10 minutes before you're used to getting up, because you already know your routine. Do something that's going to fill your mind to inspire you. I don't care what it is. Just do something. You know, if it's listen to a quick audio, if it's jump on YouTube and listen to one of the It Works videos, if it's watching It Works video, puts you in a good mood, puts a smile on your face. You know, one thing that we always did was we read our goals, right? We read our goals in the morning, boom. And then all of a sudden we record our goals, then we could just hit play, and it just was on repeat while we were getting ready in the bathroom, brushing our teeth, taking a shower, and you just kind of heard your goals read. And that's what did it for us. So number 1, I do that. Number 2, you know, give props to Cammie. She calls it a 6 list. You know, you have your list that you're constantly talking to every day. Prep the night before, right? Prep the night before what you're going to do. The reason that I knew to get on here was because I prepped last night. I looked at my calendar. I said, okay, I've got a Zoom 3 o'clock. I need to make sure I don't overbook that. And I worked on my prep. So get up 10 minutes earlier, 5 minutes earlier, 30 minutes earlier, whatever it is for you, put yourself in the right mindset. Number 2, prep your list. Know who you're going to talk to tomorrow. And then number 3, be ready to, pivot, right? Your plan may not go the way it's supposed to. All of a sudden, your kid calls from school and they're sick and you got to go give them. Okay. Just constantly, you know, I joke and say, always ask lots of questions. Ask yourself questions. I talk to myself all day long, right? So when you're driving to your kid that got sick, that was unexpected, going, okay, that's totally throws a wrench in my day. How can I salvage this? Is there somebody at the school that I haven't talked to, I've been wanting to talk to, right? Start asking your questions and going through the people you're getting ready to run into over the next 15, 20 minutes. And, okay, my kid's probably going to want something to eat. They usually like to go to Burger King, but there was this really good manager at Chick-fil-A, and, whatever. I mean, you just got to think through the process and be intentional. Don't let your business go by chance. Hope is not a strategy. Like, let me say that again. Hope is not a strategy. At least it's not a good one. We got to have hope, right? We hold on to hope. I got a handyman that works for me, and he had to return my calls in like weeks. I got hope that he is not dating his soul. But if that's my only strategy, I'm probably never going to get the zip line hung for my kids that I bought them for Christmas, right? I'm a little late. The point is, it's good to have hope, but at some point, you need to have a smart strategy and don't just hope.
Love that. I'm just curious too, were you a seal the deal over the phone guy when you were building with your, when you built to the top?
Could you repeat that? The internet went out.
Oh, okay.
Could you repeat that? My internet was weird.
Yeah. Okay. So when you were building in the field, when you were reaching to the top of that company, were you a seal the deal on the phone guy, or were you like a text message guy?
Well, definitely not text message. It wasn't popular back then. I can't believe I say that. The way that we built our business was just like it is today, really. A lot of our prospecting was on the phone. A lot of our prospecting was in person. We did meetings. We did events, live events in the homes. We did lots of home meetings, parties, tryouts that we call them now. And I was the person that really enjoyed talking to somebody to get them into the business. My wife was very good at nurturing and keeping them and walking them to the training and doing that. Me, I was going. I was thinking, hey, who else can I talk to help change their life? So a lot on the phone, but a lot. I would say the only difference, the way we built, we didn't really have social media back then. It didn't exist when we were in the field, fully building. And text message, I'm sure it was around, but you didn't. Trying to think you had Blackberries back then, and you didn't really text for the same reasons to prospect.
Good point. I forgot how many years it's been.
Hey.
No, well, not. You know what I mean. All right, Jessica, I want to take the next one. This is a good one from the chat.
Was.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so Lindsay had a question. 3 years ago, Lindsay built herself to double diamond, and then she quit and went to another company. Well, now she's back. She wants to know, how does she rebrand herself now that she's back?
I wouldn't rebrand yourself. I would. Here's the cool thing. We've seen more people, and when I say more, I'm not talking like 10. I'm talking, it could be hundreds that have left and have came back. It could be getting up into multi-hundreds. And I'm talking key people like her that went away, built Double Diamond because life happens. I would own it. There's a movie out there. Mark and I refer to it a lot in the office and sometimes on Zooms and calls and things. What's the name? It's called Clear and Present Danger. It's an older movie with Harrison Ford. He's a CIA operative. And there's this scene in the movie and all the pressure advising him to distance himself from this one individual. And Harrison Ford steps up, and he's not even really supposed to speak in this meeting. And he says, "Mr. President, I actually wouldn't do that. I wouldn't say you weren't friends. I would say you were lifelong friends. I would say you don't find friends like that." And what I take from that is that there's moments that you just got to talk through the truth and use that to your advantage. In that scene, it's if you've never seen that movie, it's a great movie, by the way, if you like CIA type movies. But that scene, what it told us, and I remember the first time when Mark and I both had our aha moments. I said something, he said something, I don't remember which one said it first, and we both knew the scene, and it was that moment, and it was a great thing that we ended up doing because of that. But the reason I use that analogy is that I wouldn't try to rebrand yourself as somebody like, I would say, I mean, I joined, I built a double diamond. I earned, I don't know what bonuses you earned, but let's say I earned $57,000 just in bonuses one year. And you know what? For whatever reason, I thought I could do it bigger and better somewhere else. And you know what I found? I found out that I love this company. I love the culture, and I'm doing it again bigger than ever. And now I actually know that this is, you've got the knowledge now that you've joined, you've done it, you've left, now you're back. You know you're not leaving again because you know how that turned out the first time. So you can show people what's possible if they just stick. You tell them, imagine if I stayed the course, those whatever 13 months that I left, where my business would have been now. So you learned a good life lesson. So own it. I wouldn't be ashamed of it. I wouldn't rebrand it. Just use it as part of your story. It's the truth.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I think I'm going to do that for myself too, because I think I've lost my way a little bit. So to end this, I just want to say thank you so much for jumping on here and doing this for our team. I really appreciate it. And then just to close it out, I was wondering if you have a call to action for us that we can just use for the day, something that we could put up or something that just help motivate us a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, number one, I said this on Sunday Nights Live. Number one, if you're not putting out samples into the marketplace right now, somehow, some way, selling them, man, do it. Double it, triple it, quadruple it. Do it 5 times more than you're doing right now. Skinny Brew is awesome. It's simple, it's affordable, it's coffee. And the reason that it's became such of a forefront for the company is because we know, I said it earlier, that most people, when they join, they're very spare time, part-time. You don't have a lot of time, right? But we also know when you're brand new, because you don't have a lot of time, you need to be able to have a conversation with somebody that doesn't feel awkward, doesn't make you feel uncomfortable that you're trying to sell them something. You need to be able to have a connection with them very quickly. And our belief is, now there's a lot of ways you can have connections, right? But 2 of the most powerful ways to get a connection with somebody quickly is with something that they've never heard of that's intriguing, right? The rap. That's a perfect example. Most people have never heard of the crazy rap thing and they go, what's that? Right? They have to ask what that is because it's like, what's that? And then when you actually tell them, it's still so unique that they're intrigued. And that's why we've had, such a tremendous success in the company. The other thing is that there's a connection, right? Number one, it's a creative, it's unique. Number 2 way is there's already a connection. They already know what it is. And that's coffee, right? You don't have to explain what it is. It's coffee. Now, it's coffee with a kick. It's coffee with a pause. It's a lot more than just coffee. But when you open up the conversation, there's that connection that, hey, Janny, do you drink coffee? Of course I drink coffee, Mike. You know what? 3 cups of this, you'll never go back to your blend. You want to try? It's only $20. It's a simple way. They're not thinking, oh my gosh, I got to spend $20 or $15 with a coupon. They're already spending that at Starbucks or, the coffee shop, or they're buying the pods, or whatever. So the point is, the call to action you need to do with samples is do more of them, right? If you do more of them, it goes back to the conversations we've been having how long we've been on here. So the last 43 minutes, we've been talking about having so many people in your pipeline that doesn't matter who falls out, doesn't matter who says no, doesn't matter if you're in a funk. You've got so many people to talk to that none of that matters because you're constantly busy, you're constantly talking to people, right? So put samples out there. Number 2, every one of you on here, I would assume, has codes to enroll people for 30% off. $99 to $69 is an amazing deal for people. So take advantage of that. Now, you may be saying, well, Mike, I don't have codes. Well, if you don't have codes, that means you didn't even place an order yourself in January, or you didn't get a customer in January. I can't help you with that. But we gave everybody who did that 3 codes for 30% off, $69 for your business builder kit. So use all those, right? Use them now. Don't wait till the end of the month. Use them. And then number 3 is more bonuses, right? How many days we have in the month? Today's the 19th, 20th, so like 10 maybe. So if we have 10 days left in the month, you better know what you're doing the next 10 days, right? Now, if this was the second of the month, I would say you better know what you're doing the next 27 days, right? It doesn't matter what day of the month it is. You better know what you're doing. You need to know your schedule. Right now, February and March are super important for you. You say, well, how is that? It's the natural momentum months. We just came out of conference. We just announced a new product. You've got codes and you've got bonuses. You've got more right now than you'll probably have the rest of the year in February, right? So you've got it. You know these bonuses go all the way through March, so you know you can do March. But don't procrastinate and say, oh, well, I really want to go diamond in February, but I don't think I can do it. You don't think you can do it. You got 10 days left. Quit counting yourself out, right? You do it this month. You validate it next month, so you start earning, right? You do it this month, so you can hit double next month. When you're in momentum, amazing things happen. Don't let it pass by. So know what you're doing the rest of this month. And even, leaders like you guys that put the call together. If you're ambassador, you got 2.0. If you're not ambassador, you're still going towards ambassador. Everybody's got a goal out there. So there's no reason not to really double, triple, quadruple your samples. Number 2, use those codes. Don't let a code go to waste. You got urgency, right? A brand new prospect is more likely to join with you when you use your urgency. It's not the code. It could be $2 off. It doesn't matter. It's the fact that they get a deal and they got to use the deal right now, right? Hey, I've only got 2 codes left. I got to use them in 3 hours, right? Doesn't mean that it's the end of the month. Doesn't mean that they're expired, but you got to use them in 3 hours, because if not, you got to go to offer it to somebody else, and you can't put one code for 2 people, right? So put more urgency on your business. And then the more bonuses, man, just know what your plan is and go to work.
Amen. Okay, you guys, we're all going to take a picture. If you haven't already, you should take a picture of this. This is an amazing post. It's an amazing story. Turn on your little boomerang or whatever. So if you're not driving, turn your camera on. We're going to take a quick picture. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Awesome.
All right. I can only see 4 of you, so I don't know how many people are on here, but I can't wait. Tag me on all that, and we'll go see.
Yeah, we will. 78 people on right now, and I'm about to leave to do a try it at a bar for the first time, so I'm excited
Awesome.
about that. All right, thank you
thanks
so
for
much.
setting it up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I did
Mike.
record you guys, so give me some time to get the recording out later tonight. Hopefully, I'll get it to you guys can all spread it throughout your team. So again, thank you, Mike, and happy Wednesday, everybody.